Hello, Pay Submission Board. This is my submission for 80 star for Super Mario 64 DS for Pace Summer 2024. In case you are unfamiliar with this game, or maybe even unaware that it even existed, this is a full-on remake of Super Mario 64 for the N64. But instead of just being Mario 64 on a different platform, it is a full-on overhaul in terms of the visuals and the physics and the gameplay mechanics and pretty much everything else. For example, in this game, instead of the total number of stars being 120 like in the original, they're actually 150 stars. So in addition to 30 more stars, there are some new areas in this game that are exclusive to this version and do not exist in the original. And instead of playing as just Mario like in the original, you get to play not only as Mario, but as Yoshi, Luigi, and Wario. And each character has their own unique abilities and like little quirks and characteristics that all kind of set them apart from each other. There's also it's not showcased in the actual run, but there's a mini game room if you don't feel like playing the main game. There's a versus mode. If you feel like battling with your friends, with 3 other players, you can battle it out with each other on different areas of the game. Usually the category that gets showcased in marathons is called 50 star, where you play through the game until you unlock the upstairs area, and then you do a glitch to access Bowser in the Sky a lot earlier than intended. But I'm actually choosing to do 80 star because it doesn't get showcased in marathons nearly enough, in my opinion. There's a lot of cool tricks and techniques that obviously don't get shown off in 50, and overall there's just more of the game to see in 80 star. So I'm really excited to show this off. I think there are a lot of differences that people will find interesting compared to the original. Because if I'm being honest, this game, even though it looks like Mario 64 on paper, it is actually very, very different. So I'm very excited to showcase all the differences. So yeah, without further ado, I will be starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I didn't start my timer, oops. So 80 star, you can think of 80 star as like the equivalent to 70 star in the original, where it's basically intended any percent, which basically means the minimum number of stars that you can get without using any major glitches. So instead of needing 70 stars like in the original, you actually need 80 stars to unlock the final stage, Bowser in the Sky. And the first major difference coming up is you'll see Mario come out of the pipe right here, but you actually do not start out as Mario in this game, because once he goes inside the castle, him, Luigi, and Wario all get locked up, and you actually start out as Yoshi. So the way I'm going to be starting out this run is we're going to start as Yoshi like normal, and then we're going to play through the game until we get 8 stars. Because once you get 8 stars, you unlock, there's a boss battle that gets unlocked at 8 stars, and defeating that boss will give you the key to Mario's room, and then that lets you play as him. And once we switch to Mario, we will be playing as him for the rest of the game, just because he is the most useful character in terms of just moving around. He has the fastest overall movement, and just way better moveset than Yoshi. So once this cutscene ends, we're gonna go to the front door like normal, but we actually won't be able to enter the castle just yet, and you'll see why. So once we go to the front door, it turns out the castle door is actually locked, because we need to there's a rabbit hiding in the castle grounds, which has the key to the front door. So I'm gonna do a little optimization here where it's a bit hard for me to explain as it's going. I didn't even get it that well. Basically, if you eat the rabbit and then, or like jump and eat the rabbit at the same time and then ground pound, you'll delay his text box, and that lets you move closer back to the castle door while he's talking. I didn't do it very well, but usually you can get like 2 long jumps away from him to move closer to the door while he's talking. Just a little time save there. So then we'll be making our way to Bob-omb Battlefield, where we get our first star, where we'll be able to unlock the room where all the other characters are currently locked up. And right here, you'll see me use a technique called Y-run, where you'll kind of see Yoshi kick up dust as he's running in place. This is a mechanic that is not in the original game, where if you hold Y in place until he starts kicking up dust, and you start moving forward, then you'll be able to run with a little bit of extra speed. And there's a counter of 30 frames, where you'll keep that Y-run / like extra speed for 30 frames. And it's very useful for cutscenes. Like, if you have Y-run stored during a cutscene, then it lets you run out of it instantly as soon as the cutscene is over. So you'll see Y-run be used quite a bit throughout the run. It's just useful for keeping speed through certain events that would otherwise cause you to lose all your speed, if that makes sense. So now that we got the first star, we go to Princess Secret Slide. And that room I was just in, you'll notice looks completely different from what it looks like in the original. Usually in the original, it's just like a tiny little room with the 3 windows. But that room has all the characters. So if you want to switch to playing to different characters, you have to go to that room and then open their door. There's also another room called the Playroom, which has 2 completely new areas that are not in the original, which we will be going to once we get through Womps right now. I'm using Y-run again. So even though it looks like Yoshi has no speed from talking to the door, since we have Y-run, you can see that I ran out of the text box as soon as it was over. So here we have our first, one of the first stars is actually 100 coin star. And then, so one thing I haven't explained is actually something called egg combos, or just eggs in general. Yoshi's special ability is if you can press A to eat enemies, and then if you press R, you can turn it into an egg. And then similar to Yoshi's Island, if you throw an egg by pressing A, then you'll get something called with egg combos, where it will bounce off one enemy and then just keep going and bouncing off other enemies and objects. So it's really good for defeating enemies really quickly. So I used them on those 3 piranha plants to get other blue coins really quick. I'm gonna use some more Y-run here to have the speed from the Y-run carry into this double jump to clear that platform. Go and get these coins over here. Okay, I had too many coins. Usually the 100 coins star spawns down there. And right there I tried going for a little thing called text skip, where basically after you collect certain numbers of stars, a text box will show up asking if you want to save. And then after, well, not asking if you want to save, like if you collect 3 stars, for example, it will tell you that you've unlocked all the 3-star doors. And then if you press A or B on the first frame that you possibly can, then the text box just won't even appear. So I tried going for that, but it didn't turn out too good because the text box still played. So now I'm gonna do the Womp fight. Usually in original, like runs of the original game, you can just ground pound right through him. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but we can still make the fight a bit faster by ground pounding as early as possible as he's slamming into the ground. You do have to be careful when doing this fight, because sometimes there's a very rare chance where if you, on the final hit, you can ground pound, and like, you can land the final hit on the Womp and get squished at the same time. So it'll try to play a text box, but it'll have, since you're squished, the text box will never appear. So you'll just be stuck there forever. Here's the first, another major glitch that is not in the original. Basically, when you pause the game, there are many objects and entities that unload because the camera will move far away from Yoshi during the pause. And if the camera's too far away from objects, then they completely unload. So basically what we're doing is we're setting Yoshi up in a certain position so that once you unpause and the objects load back in, Yoshi will actually be flying, or like traveling past the object as it's still trying to load back in. But since it doesn't load back in fast enough, Yoshi can basically pass through objects. So it's most useful on cannon lids, since you don't need, it eliminates the need to talk to the pink bombs that will unlock the cannons for you. Then here you'll see the first area in the game that is not present in the original. It's actually, there's actually an extension to this room past these double doors, where you'll see another mechanic that's also not in the original called Silver Stars. And it's kind of similar to red coins, kinda, where you have to collect 5 silver stars and it will cause a star to spawn in a little cage. But if you get hit and then you only have 4 silver stars, or basically any number under 5, then the star will despawn. So once I collect this 5th star, then the star will spawn. But I have to be careful not to get hit by Klepto, or else it will despawn and waste time. So now, once we have 8 stars, we can head straight to the boss battle that is used for unlocking Mario, which is also another area that is also not in the original. So right here I'm going to do a little thing that I like to call neutral tech, where basically if you are doing certain actions at really high speeds and then you go neutral, you actually keep more speed than if you're to keep holding forward. So during that slide kick and like the rollout off the slope, I went neutral to maintain as much speed as I could. Here's the boss battle. We just have to hit him 3 times with Goombas and eggs, and then he'll be defeated. And then once he is finished exploding here, then we finally get Mario's key, and then once it'll kick us out back to the little room where you enter the painting right here. And then we're gonna go straight to Mario, and then we will be playing as him for the rest of the game. Actually, another interesting thing coming up in terms of unique abilities across all the characters. Mario is actually the only character out of the 4 that can do wall kicks. So there are Mario exclusive stars, like actually about to show off right now. There's a star where you have to wall kick to reach it. Mario is the only character who can access it because he's the only character who can do these wall kicks to go up this little structure. This is another mechanic called switch stars. You'll see that I hit that button to spawn the star, and that puts you on a timer to collect the star. If you wait too long, or like if you don't grab the star by the time the timer is over, then the star will despawn, and you have to hit the switch to spawn it again. And you'll see that throughout quite a few of the stages, actually. So now I'm in Cool Mountain. Even though I said there are many differences between this and the original, this is actually one of the similarities in terms of strats, where you just jump off the beginning part and land in that part of the slide, and that's basically the same as in the original. So even though there are many differences, you might see like a couple similarities here and there, but overall the game is very different from the original in terms of strats and overall movement and like basically everything else. Also, some of the stages in the DS version they have elements that are completely just not present in the original. Like whether this be just like objects that were not in the original, there also be like full on like added landforms to the stage that were just not in the original. You don't really see that too much in the beginning, but there are some, like I think the most notable is Tick-Tock Clock, which you'll see later on. Like the beginning part is completely different. So here we have another 100 coin star. We're gonna be going off here and hitting the blue coin switch. And then we're gonna get all the coins on the slide and collect all the... We're gonna collect the 100 coin star inside the slide and then finish the race and then immediately talk to the penguin to get another star. And here's another instance of Y-Run. I'm gonna charge some up right here and then dash into the penguin. And then you'll see once the text box ends, I immediately have running speed. So I have to be careful to... I can only miss 2 coins on this slide. I already missed one. If I miss one more, or if I miss 2 more, then I will not have enough to get 100. So this is actually one of the more stressful parts, or like stressful starts for me, because even though it's easy, nerves still are there in terms of like trying to get every coin. Here's actually there's another text skip. I didn't actually have to press A and B to skip that text, because that floor it's what's known as a super slippery floor. Mario starts sliding immediately, like he starts sliding before the text can even come. So there's usually a text box when you collect 12 stars, but because I was on a super slippery floor, Mario starts sliding before it even appears. So it's just another little optimization right there. So this star is both similar and different to the original in terms of you just kind of jump off the edge. But you'll see with that long jump, Mario actually curved back into the direction of this little area really fast, which definitely does not exist in the original, so you cannot do that, because Mario will not have enough backward speed in the original. Here's the last star of the stage. It's another switch star. Usually this star can only be done by Wario because you need him to ground pound that little patch of ice to break it. But there's a little clip here that we can do to bypass needing Wario. Now that we're done with Cool Mountain, I can actually charge some more Y-Run right here to preserve it through the door. And I'm gonna unlock the question mark box. So usually in the original this would unlock just the wing cap, but this unlocks the question mark box for all the characters. So if you're playing as Luigi, his special ability, if you collected the flower from the question mark block, is he would have basically the vanish cap in the original, and then for Wario it would be the metal cap. For Mario it's either the wing cap or there's a balloon power-up, which you'll either see in just a minute or at the very end of the game, because there's another trick coming up that might depend on me using the balloon. Then Yoshi's special ability, it's not used anywhere, but he has the ability to spit fire and defeat enemies by burning them. So I'm gonna try to go for a trick to skip needing the balloon or the cannon for this star. Alright, I'm really glad I got that. Basically, we're exploiting the fact that if you jump out of water and into a wall, you can't wall jump. But if you dismount a shell into a wall, you can wall slide and then therefore wall kick. And then usually you can't, like if you wall jump repeatedly on the same wall, you can't gain height, but because the pillars are there, you can they'll stop Mario and then allow you to fly back towards the wall. And if you keep doing this, then you keep gaining height, and this lets you keep wall kicking up the wall until you're able to grab the pillar and then jump off. Usually you need the cannon for that star, but we don't use the cannon in runs. Usually if we mess that up 2 times, we just resort to using the balloon to fly straight to the platform, because you don't actually need the cannon. So since we won't be seeing Mario's balloon ability here, we actually won't be using it until Rainbow Ride, which is at the very end of the game. But it's basically like the balloon power-up from Super Mario World, where you can float around, and if you press B, then that gives Mario like a little boost upward. So it's pretty useful for Rainbow Ride to clear the platforms. I missed the star. It's not really useful anywhere else, but for Rainbow Ride, it's really useful since all the platforms are really spaced out. It's good for clearing distance, as you'll see later on. So then I'm gonna return back to Princess Secret Slide, because if you beat it under 21 seconds, then you get another star, which actually is in the original. And then this stage is actually very faithful to the original in terms of the strat. Like the original does have those little wall bounces to jump off at this part of the slide. So this might be the only stage in the whole game that is 100% faithful to the original, both in terms of the layout and the strats, which I find very interesting. I'm gonna charge some more Y-Run and go back into Whomp's Fortress to get all the remaining stars that we didn't get as Yoshi. Then here's another instance of neutral tick. I went neutral on that double jump. And basically, if you go neutral, which means you don't hold any direction on the D-pad, if you do that as you're jumping into a wall, then you won't get stopped. Hang on. I'll explain more of this once I get to the top of the tower. So usually, if you're holding a D-pad direction into a wall, then you'll lose all your speed, like right there. But if you go neutral and jump into a wall, you'll actually keep all your speed that you had before. So if you do neutral jumps, then you're able to, like when you clear the whatever wall that you're doing it to, then you'll keep all your speed. So I'm gonna do it again right here. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I did keep all my speed from that. Usually I keep all my wire in here, but I messed it up. Usually we'd need the owl for the star, but Mario's triple jumps and combinations with his dives being much floatier than the original makes his triple jumps and dives very overpowered, so we can completely skip the owl for that. Then coming up next is another switch star. And the timer for this is kind of laughable because we're gonna go really fast right here by slide kicking down the slope. And then doing another neutral rollout right there. Then now that we're done with Womps, we're gonna be going to the first Bowser stage. And then defeating Bowser allows us to unlock the basement of the run. I mean the game / the castle. So usually, there's a cycle here where you can use the balloon to actually just skip this entire lower portion, but it's actually slower. And there's another strat at the beginning where you actually can get that red coin without needing to press that switch to spawn the blocks. But there's actually two strats for that, but I find them to be very risky. Basically, you can jump into them in such a way where you'll be pointed back towards the platform, and if you dive after touching that coin, then you can dive straight back onto the platform, so you won't actually need to spawn those blocks. So as I collect this star, I spawn another switch star. Usually the stairs would be down and I would slide kick roll out, but I hit the switch by accident. So yeah, instead of there being only one star to collect in the stage like in the original, there's the red coin star and the switch star. And that's the case for the other two Bowser stages as well. So usually, to spin Bowser in this game, you actually can use either the D-pad or the touchscreen. I personally use the touchscreen just because it feels more comfortable than trying to keep my thumb on the D-pad. That's actually another thing I forgot to mention. The two forms of movement in this game are D-pad and touchscreen. D-pad is, even though there's only 8 directions you can press, it is actually the form of movement that we use the most prominently throughout the whole run. But there are a few points where touchscreen is needed to make sharper turns that the D-pad just can't do. But these... The touchscreen is only really used in like certain spots where the extra tightness in your turns is really needed, but otherwise it's not really used much. So I'm gonna collect the 8 red coins from these boos right here, and then we'll be headed to Big Boo's Haunt from here, where you'll see even more differences from the original. So right off the bat, for the first star, it's gonna be completely different from what you do in the original. Usually you'd have to go through the mountain, or the mansion to get through the balcony, but we can just chain wall kicks like this. So, in JRB with those wall kicks, I know that you said, or I said that you can't actually chain wall kicks on the same wall to gain height. But because of the way the corner, like the two walls that meet in that corner are set up, you can keep alternating between the walls, and the differences in angles between the walls is actually enough to gradually gain height. So I'm gonna carry my wire run through all these doors right here. It's another good showcase of how wire run can truly be exploited to go fast. So this block is not in the original. Usually these black blocks can only be broken by Wario, but we're gonna be using a clip right here to... We're gonna basically be dragging the camera out of bounds. And for some reason this causes the game to unload certain objects. So we're gonna be using that to our advantage to completely skip needing Wario right here. Because there's actually another switch star hidden beneath this block. So, I have to be careful to select star 5 right there, because if I just left it selected on star 1, then the merry-go-round would actually, or the boos in the merry-go-round would actually not spawn. So if you're not careful enough, you can lose a ton of time just by not selecting the right star if you're not careful enough. Basically, all these boos are coming out of the painting. I tried to do a cool strat there, but didn't work out that well. And then, after this star, there will be another very stark difference from the original. Usually there's a bookcase, or like there's a little library where you have to dodge books and then hit 3 books in a certain order to move the bookcase out of the way to open the area for the next star. But there's actually a little quirk in certain corners of the game where you can just long jump straight through them like this. We don't really know what causes it, but it is very useful right there. It saves just a few seconds. So now that I have 30 stars, I'm gonna go to the basement and head to Dire Dire Docks. Dire Dire Docks isn't actually... It's not that different from the original, actually. Because, I said Princess Secret Slide was the only stage that was like truly faithful to the original, but I'm pretty sure Dire Dire Docks has basically no differences between the original in this game. So all the stars that you're about to see here they do exist in the original. You'll notice Mario swimming it feels a lot slower compared to the original, and it feels a lot less smooth. It feels a lot less smooth, mostly because of the D-pad, choosing your angles with the joystick allows you to swim like a lot more precisely in the original, but the only way you can really replicate that in this game is with the touchscreen, but it's kind of hard to manage the touchscreen and keep your swimming rhythm at the same time, so all the runners just opt to using the D-pad. Swimming is actually another mechanic that is different among all the players. Mario has kind of like average swimming speed, and Mario and Yoshi both kind of have average swimming speed. Wario swims extremely slow, so if for any reason we have to swim as Wario, it's very painful because he is very, very slow. But Luigi is by far the fastest swimmer in the whole game. He's also, I believe he's the highest jumper as well. So Luigi, there's another route to 80 Star where you do play as Luigi because Luigi is very agile. He also has he has a unique ability where if you backflip, you can actually enter a twirling state, and it's kind of notorious for being very overpowered because you can just clear basically any gap with it, but we won't actually be seeing that in this route because I don't use that route. But it's just another example of how all the characters have their own little quirks to them. So now that Bowser in the Fire Sea is unlocked from grabbing the Sub-Star, I'm going to be grabbing all the red coins along with the Switch Star. Here's another really good difference between this and the original. That red coin under the elevator, you cannot triple jump to grab it like that in the original. Runners have to activate the elevator and then fall down it and then go back up here, but we can grab it with a triple jump, so we can just go through that area in one complete trip instead of having to fall back down. Here I'm gonna go along the side right here. We're gonna kick at the same time so we can land on here, do a wall kick up here, and then activate the Switch Star as we're grabbing the red coin star. I'm gonna do a little bit of scary movement right here. I'm gonna be going along the outer edge of the stage. Even though I feel comfortable doing it, it's still pretty nerve-wracking, won't lie. So, another minor difference between this and the original, usually Bowser will stomp this platform to make it tip down, but in this game, before he even lands, we can grab him and then throw him very early, instead of having to wait for him to pound the platform like in the original. So, now that we have the key to upstairs, we're actually not going to go to upstairs until quite a bit later because we still have most of the basement left to do. So I'm going to be heading to Shifting Sandland right after this. We're gonna slide kick here to get quite a bit of speed, and then you can just long jump straight to this pillar because Mario's long jump is very fast. We can just keep our speed up along this entire pyramid. And then I'm gonna do a little trick here where you'll see that I slide kicked and rolled out on the slope. This is actually it's a very useful method for you can just completely climb all slopes in the game, or almost all slopes in the game, just by spamming slide kicks and rollouts, because you don't lose speed or anything if you keep doing it. So even though I only did it once, it was very helpful in making sure that I climb that slope easier. Usually, to get up slopes in the original, runners will spam like little jump kicks up the slope. Sometimes they're called silly kicks. We actually can't do that in this game, because kicking actually completely locks your speed. The reason silly kicks works in the original is because every time you kick, you can keep your speed. But kicking in this game completely, not only does it lock your speed completely, it also locks your angle. So once you kick, you are set in stone in whatever direction you're flying in and how fast you're flying in. So since our speed gets locked, we just can't gain any speed from kicking, so even though you can kick up slopes, you can only do it for so long before you run out of speed. But at least you have slide kick rollouts to help with that. So I'm actually going to be getting every single star in Lethal Lava Land. Then coming up later in Lethal Lava Land is actually, in my opinion, one of the hardest stars to do fast in the whole game. But I will be doing it just for the sake of showing off. Another thing with speed kicking, usually in the original, if you kick, you can keep your speed when you kick. You can do that in the original, but it is a lot harder, because for some reason, if you do, for example, like a long jump and then chain a kick, you can only keep your speed from the kick if you have the exact same value for your moving angle and your facing angle. So basically, if you are not moving in a 100% straight direction during the kick, you will just completely lose all your speed. But since I'm moving at a straight direction right there, then I can keep my speed. We're actually gonna skip having to go around the entire volcano, because Mario's long jump is a bit overpowered. We can just completely skip it by long jumping straight to the star. Don't have to deal with all the poles and all the fire spitters and all that. This is a star that's a little similar to, I think, what top runners do for this star, where you can traverse these platforms to make it to this platform with all the bullies really fast. Unfortunately, you'll see it in the original, runners will jump and ground pound the big bully mid-air as it's falling to defeat it as soon as possible, but we unfortunately cannot do that, so we do have to lure the big bully to the edge and then push him in. Then we can just completely long jump over this, and then side flip, ground pound to push him off. And coming up next is another little stage quirk where I have to select, I believe it's either star 5 or 6 or later. If I didn't go out of my way to select star 6, then this shell right here would actually not spawn. And it would make getting this next star very inconvenient. But since we have the shell, we can completely skip the log ride and the fire spitters. And coming up right now is actually one of the hardest stars in the whole route, but hopefully I can do it really fast. Basically, I have to go around the entire stage on the shell while collecting silver stars and coins and not getting hit by the bullies. Kinda messed up the eye right there. Unfortunately, I missed the coins, so I will have to resort to using the puzzle to get the last missing coins. And I bumped the boys right there. Hopefully this fire spinner cycle is cooperative. I'm gonna slow down a bit so it doesn't burn me. Hopefully I make it in time for the puzzle. Missed a few more coins. Then if you're standing on the puzzle while the puzzle finishes itself, then it'll spit out a bunch of coins. So even if we miss one coin, we do have to rely on the puzzle for whatever coins we missed. Because ideally, we would just go around the whole stage without ever needing to use the puzzle. So if you can get all the coins perfectly, then it saves a lot of time because you don't have to wait for the puzzle. So now we're going to be going to Hazy Maze Cave. I'm going to do a little optimization right here where if you kick into a toad and like mash A, then you can talk to him as soon as you land, which usually if you land in front of him, you usually have to wait quite a bit until you can talk to him. And here's something that I actually don't know if I... Oh wait, that's not the right star, sorry. I had the stars mixed up in my head. But basically, there's one of the big abilities in this game that you can do with any character is throughout every level in the whole game there will be caps with like corresponding to Mario, Luigi, and Wario. So you can switch to any of these characters. So right now, by touching this Wario cap, I am essentially playing as Wario. But if you get hit by I did not mean to do that. If you get hit by enemies, then the cap will come off Mario and it will kind of slide away. And then it'll disappear after a short while. So I'm actually going to do that right now, so I can wall kick. And since Wario can't wall kick, getting hit there to lose the cap on purpose is very useful. So now I'm finally going to move on to the upstairs part of the run. We can quickly move back to the lobby by re-entering Hazy Maze Cave and then exiting the course. I personally find all the upstairs stages to be like not that stressful compared to like the earlier stages, which is I think is pretty interesting. All the upstairs stages are, even though they're stressful because you have the rest of the run on the line, I I do think they are the most fun part of this game, just in terms of like all the strats that you have to do to go fast. So here's another instance where the DS version has a wildly different strat than the original. I intentionally make the water level mid-level, so I can double jump onto that platform, and then I'm gonna triple jump dive onto the Shocking Arrows platform. Actually, I don't really remember what the original does, but the point is you definitely cannot do that in the original. Mario's triple jump and dive just does not allow for it, because it doesn't clear that much distance. That star is always really fun. You can, I think it's pretty similar to the original, except you don't do the side flip at the start. Here's another instance of pause clips, which we haven't seen since Womps, I believe. I actually did a little setup there. Usually you have to, what we do is we backflip, and then on the first frame possible we pause the game, and then we wait till the character is ground pounding, or like descending, like right when they're descending during the ground pound. This gives us a consistent setup for pause clips, but right there, it's laid out in such a way where if you have enough running speed and you jump into it, this actually gives you the perfect height to pause clip, so you don't need to backflip or side flip or anything. I'm gonna do a little speed kick right there. Here's where you can actually see me use the slide kicks to climb up that slope right there. I believe this is, if it's not completely the same in the original, it's at least very close. Not the strat, I meant like just like the layout of the cave. I forgot to, there's a thing we do here where, I forgot to do it there, but, if you, I actually forgot to bring it up at all. If you hold L, like the L trigger in this game, you can center the camera behind your character at all times. And once we enter, or like exit the stage from Tiny Huge Island, the camera's in this really small space in the castle, so it's really awkward to turn it. But if you hold L as you're coming back in, then it'll give you a much cleaner angle. So I'm gonna do that right now. You'll see the camera swivel as I'm spawning in. It doesn't save time, it's more convenient for us to do, since you don't have to hold awkward angles for when the camera's weird. So this star is basically the same as the original, if I'm not mistaken. You just have to kill all the piranha plants, and then they'll spit out the star right here. Also, little minor thing, I ground pounded into the star. Usually ground pounding is the best option in the original because it'll give you a bunch of downward speed into the star grab. Unfortunately, we can't do that in the DS version. Like, it doesn't give you that downward speed. But the next best thing is just jumping downwards into a star as it's spawning. So we have the max amount of downward speed possible to land sooner. It's not done very often. I try to do it in the Lethal Lava Land with the bullies, and sometimes on the Piranha Plant star right there, if I am set up nicely for it. Then we're gonna do the Koopa the Quick Race right here. I don't actually remember what the original does here, but in the DS game, we kick the shell right here. I'm gonna chain a bunch of jumps up the slope, and then do a bit of neutral tech right here, where I go neutral as I'm jumping off the shell to give me the max amount of speed possible. Then I'm gonna try to do a little optimization here where I charge Y-run during this text box. Now I'm immediately running into the star. I'm not that great at setting that up, but another instance of Y-run being useful throughout text boxes. And this star is actually also pretty similar to the original in terms of the ending. Because usually you have to hit a switch to spawn a bunch of block platforms leading to that platform in the distance. But if we neutral jump, we can just completely clear it. It's also what runners in the original will do. I have another Toad Star right here. Right now I'm gonna do a trick that I didn't discover per se, and I don't mean to brag, but I already messed it up. I kinda started the movement for this trick where basically we're going to triple jump wall kick. Man, I cannot get up there. It's another thing with slide kick climbing. If you press the buttons too fast, you can dive, and you can't keep the trick going if you dive because you'll just slide down. We basically wall kick up there. Do another slide kick to walk up the slope a bit faster. Usually, to get that started, before that little triple jump wall kick thing was really used, is you'd have to go around quite a ways around the mountain and like navigate around and then triple jump up it at a certain point. But that triple jump wall kick I did saves quite a bit of time over having to go around the entire mountain. And here's another instance of Mario's triple jump being... the triple jump in combination with the dive being very overpowered. The dive in this game is very floaty. Usually if you're traveling downwards in the original, you'll dive downwards. But no matter whether you're traveling up or down in this game, Mario, Luigi, and Wario's dive will all have that little floatiness to it. And I didn't include Yoshi because Yoshi can't actually dive. Pressing A will cause him to lick instead of punch and kick and dive. So that's another main reason why we never play as Yoshi for the rest of the game. Because his movement is very limited. There's another pause clip right there to get in that cannon without having to talk to the bomb. You can just fly straight up to the snowman. Usually in 50 star, there's actually a star behind the mirror. Like every time you see me fly back in the painting, there's a mirror off to my side. Usually you need to have Luigi, or be playing as Luigi, to have these little flowers appear, and that gives him the vanish cap ability. And in 50 star, there's a glitch to basically, if you wedge yourself in the corner and long jump at a certain angle, you can fly up really high and then glitch past the mirror. But we actually can't do that in 80 star because doing out of bounds glitches of any kind in the castle is not allowed. So now we're up to the tippy section of the run. Coming up is a trick that I wasn't sure if I was gonna go for, but it looks really cool, so I couldn't resist showing it off. Basically, the cage star in TikTok Clock, usually you need Luigi's vanish ability to pass through the mesh. But I'm gonna do a little trick right here that is frame perfect. They'll let Mario go straight through it. We can also just keep chaining these wall kicks because the wall next to me helps me stay close to the wall. There we go. So there's actually the teeniest, tiniest hole in the little corner of one of the corners of the cages. I forgot to turn my chat off. Sorry about that. There's a teeny tiny corner that it's not visual. You actually can clip through that if you have the precise movement needed for it. So we basically face a certain angle and then backflip, and then we press up on a certain frame to fly into that little hole. And that little pressing up on that certain frame is what makes it possible. If you press it one frame earlier, you will fall back in that corner. If you press it too late, you'll fall back to where get a hand is. I'm really glad I got that first try. And I'm actually doing a thing right there called a slow dive, where usually if you dive into a wall, you will bonk. But if you dive into a wall and you have low enough speed, then it completely ignores the bonking property, and it'll allow you to dive like a little bit up and then wall kick. So it's useful for when you need just like the tiniest bit of height for a triple jump wall kick. This star is really annoying. This is the 100 coin star. It's quite annoying because it is very RNG heavy due to whenever you hit a exclamation point box that has coins in it, the coins will have random trajectories. I shouldn't have grabbed that one. I usually don't fly down here. I think I'm gonna back it up with get a hand. I think I was supposed to get that one at the start anyway. Basically, it's very RNG heavy because the coins can either be extremely close together when you hit the box, or they can just fly completely all over the place. And ideally we want them to all be close together when they come flying out of the box. Do another slow dive to get up here. I'm gonna not grab that one, I meant to grab this one instead. I think I have enough coins actually. I think I'm a bit low. I'm just gonna try to hit whatever boxes are left. I'm gonna use a bit of neutral tech to fly past this wall if I can do it right. It didn't really work out. Basically, you can go neutral there to clear that wall. Right there, I did a little frame perfect. If you ground pound a box and you jump, there's one frame where you can jump or kick. So usually we do a little kick there to grab all the coins before they have a chance to fly out. Thankfully they all stayed together in one spot for this one. I'm gonna actually zoom in the camera right here to line myself up better. Usually I did it wrong. The thwomp is a little bit of RNG to the thwomps. So if you catch it on a good enough cycle, you can jump, double jump, and then triple jump off it. But if it's not in a good cycle, like right there, usually we just do 2 wall kicks to get around it. It was a cool little save. Did not mean to do that. You can see, I kind of forgot to mention it. You'll see like Mario slid on that wall. That's how that's how the wall kick property is different in this game compared to the original. Usually in the original, when you hit a wall, you have 5 frames to press A and get a wall kick. But in this game, you can just keep sliding down the wall for as long as you want before pressing B, and you'll always get a wall kick. But sometimes you can kind of stick to the wall if you're not being careful, like it happened right there. Another instance of Mario's triple jump being overpowered. We can just completely fly onto one of those platforms. And here's the first instance of the balloon power-up being used. So, since the wind is blowing me, it actually gives me a really big speed boost. I ground pounded way too early. I ground pounded way too early, I think because there's a Czechia, basically an enemy that if you walk into its arms, it can throw you. And more often than not, if you get grabbed by it on that platform, it will throw you off the platform completely, and most of the time you will die. So I usually do like to play it safe for that Czechia and ground pound quite a bit earlier than most people do. Gotta wait for this block to respawn. I'm gonna kind of lure him away from the box so he doesn't grab me. It's a bit unfortunate, but so if you know anything about Super Mario 64, the original, you'll know carpetless was recently discovered to be human viable, and it's been revolutionizing. I fell off again. Okay, basically I was trying to, when you side flip in this game, you will, if you time your inputs correctly, you can fly back into the pole with minimal speed and you'll grab it in a way that's faster. What I was trying to say is, if you know anything about Mario 64 speedrunning, you'll know human viable setup for carpetless was found, and I am quite pleased to say that the carpetless is also possible in this game, as you'll see right now. So here's another instance where Mario's triple jump is very overpowered. No triple jump up here, and we're gonna completely skip that whole part of the stage to get this star by just clearing the whole huge gap. Another thing that you definitely cannot do in the original. Then we're gonna do the same thing again, but we're gonna go towards tricky triangles, where we actually do a strat that is a bit similar to the original, where you long jump in that corner to keep your speed. Because corners are kind of weird, both in the original and this game. I long jumped into the corner because for some reason there are some corners where you can just keep running indefinitely and you'll just keep your speed and you won't bonk. So we both in the original and the DS version, we take advantage of the weird corner properties to keep our speed there. Went neutral there to, if I didn't go neutral on that triple jump, then that little ledge would have stopped me, but going neutral lets me land up there easier. Long jump outside the maze and then go back in to fly back towards that coin really fast. There's another property with stars where in this game, if you grab a star but you grab it above a death plane and then you fall into that death plane, usually in the original, Mario won't die, like he'll just grab the star like normal. But in this game, and specifically this star, it's actually faster to grab the star over the death plane because Mario actually will die. And it will skip the little celebration that he does after getting the star, and it will also skip the 80 star text box. Forgot to split, but now we finally have 80 stars and we can finally make it to Bowser in the Sky. And I am personally a very big fan of the movement right here. It is very, very different from the Monomo cycle in the original. You can just completely clear that gap with the triple jump. There's the first proper showcase of me climbing slopes with a side kick. We don't need to press that switch. Another triple jump to just completely clear all the elevators. I'm gonna charge some Y run and then skip that gap with the long jump. And hopefully I can do this fight fast. Because similar to the original, as Bowser is being bounced back by the bombs, you actually can grab him to finish grab him and start spinning him sooner. And you'll notice I'm not even aiming my camera at the bombs. That's because I'm using you can actually use the mini-map. I basically wait until Mario's little triangle on the bottom screen lines up with a bomb, so I don't need to turn my camera towards the bomb. There's the end of the game. Backflip into the final star. And time. So that was 80 star for Super Mario 64 DS. I would love to see this in a marathon, just because there's a lot more to the game than usually gets showcased in marathons through the 50 star category. It's basically like the equivalent to a 70 star in the original. And it's if it has been showcased in marathons, I think it's been long overdue, because it's mostly the 50 star runs that get the most exposure, but I really love 80 star because you get to play through like quite a hefty amount of the game, I would say. And there's overall just more to see compared to 50 star. And besides that, I think it's always great to get this game in marathons. I really love showcasing all the differences between this and the original. I think having both the original Mario 64 and the DS version in the same event would be like it would be a neat contrast, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm excited for this to hopefully be showcased, because I really do love playing this game. It's quite a trip to see like all the differences. If you're mostly familiar with the original, then seeing all these differences can be startling, but once you really do learn like all the different quirks and like how all the physics and all that work, it really is a great game to play and pick up if you do feel like playing this game. So yeah, thank you for watching.